everyone, it's Sandi Hearts, and I'm coming back with another yoga video. This time we're going to be working on balance, strengthening postures, and moving into flow flexibility. This video, yoga video, will be really good for beginners and also intermediate students. We are going to start today in making sure, number one, that your body is warm before you begin. We're going to begin with a Tadasana Posture. And we're going to I want you to feel your feet rooting down, that the legs can become a little firmer if you lift the knees up. And then stand up nice and tall, feeling the crown of your head lifting, right, all the way up to the ceiling. Put a plate on the crown of your head, imaginary. And then take your gaze down towards the floor. As you're inhaling and exhaling fully, feeling all that energy moving up into the feet, into the legs from the earth, moving all the way up your spine, relaxing your arms and shoulders, all the way up into your neck, again, all the way back into your crown. And then just let your eyes come back up for a moment. Our first pose that we're going to move into is called Berkshire Tree Pose. And when you go into the pose, if you're looking at a video, you're going to see me moving. If you can, later on, just start shifting your eyes back down, but keep your head lifted. You're going to find your drishti to have your gaze set. So once you're doing that, we're going to weight down our right leg, keeping that in Tadasana. While you bend your left knee, a beginner could start in a kickstand foot. Right? So the ball mound of the foot's on the floor and toes, and your heels are touching your ankle or your calf. Right? Trying to get that inner thigh and inner knee to point towards the left. Keep your gaze steady. You can take your foot to your calf or your inner thigh. If you want to, you can stay in kickstand footing. Stand up nice and tall. Once you have your balance, that's when the branches of your tree can grow. They can grow towards the sky ceiling. They don't have to go all the way to the ceiling. They may stay halfway down. But you're a tree. Play with it. Stay rooted. Stay in breath. And keep that balance set with your drishti. Let's take the hands to the heart center. Feeling that love you're incorporating in your practice. And then take your foot back down. You can take your eyes back up. Release out. Release to the arms, the legs. So feel how strenuous that is for the leg. I mean, in a good way. It's really strengthening that standing leg. I want you to come back to Tadasana Pose. Get yourself rooted. Stand up tall. Find your gaze, maybe looking down at the floor again without dropping your head. Find your kickstand footing, right? So we're going into tree pose for Berkshire. And that heel may be on your calf, and your toes may be on the floor. But your gaze is set, your breath is steady, and maybe this is the time where you can really practice that kickstand footing and your awareness and your rooting to take those branches up. So you can be a beginner here. You can also be a beginner with your calf, your foot in your calf, or in your inner thigh to grow the branches of your tree. Inhaling and exhaling. Keep that steady gaze. Keep the breath moving. Inhaling and exhaling. We're going to take the hands back to the heart. Take the foot back to the floor. Walk it up. Take those shoulder shrugs and feel how your legs are really getting warm, very warm, I would imagine, and feeling that firmness that comes in with them also. We're going to come back to the middle of the mat. We're going to have our feet slightly apart. Now, if you hyperextend your knees, like if you push your weight back like I can, you always may need a slight bend in your knees, but you can still lift the kneecaps up to have the thighs firmed. And you're going to stand up nice and tall. You're going to have those shoulders drop down. We're going to go into Urdhva Hastasana. And this is just an extended child's pose with the arms up. So take those arms back up towards the ceiling. And make sure that there's still that book at the head, right, crown of the head, and you can be looking down if you'd like. And find just the posture lengthening you. Right? Feel like strengthening that you're doing through your legs and the grounding. When you inhale, you're going to exhale and take the arms to a goalpost on. And let the shoulder blades move towards center and down. So if you're doing low cobra, you'd want the same feeling in the upper back. You're going to inhale and exhale, take those arms all the way back down very slowly. When you begin to turn, we're going to turn to the left. I want you to come back into Tadasana positioning. And we're going to take the next pose. It's called chair pose, fierce pose. Now you can always come and watch beforehand. I like to be on this position so you can see how the back is aligned in chair pose. And our Utkatasana. The feet can be slightly apart or together. I like mine a little apart. And we're going to start by bending those knees slightly. And it's okay to look at your knees. And letting the butt come back ever so slightly. We don't want to push it back. At this time, take your toes off the floor and bring your tailbone slightly forward to flatten that lower back. Chest is up, head is up. And then we're going to come through and bring the arms halfway forward to tuck those shoulder blades down. You could take your toes down. And then you could come slightly down, but we're not really pushing the butt back. We're taking the tailbone to the pubic bone. We're sitting up tall. And then for those who can, the arms can rise above your head. Any amount that you come down, it's straight down. Tailbone to pubic bone, navel pulls in. So fierce pose, quadriceps for short. Inhaling, exhaling. We're going to inhale, slowly straighten the legs, exhale. Take the hands down. I'm going to turn around, taking them directly to the heart, which is beating very strongly. And then we'll take the arms back down to our sides. We're going to move next into another pose that will bring us balance. And it's, when I say a balancing pose, usually it's because we're on one foot, right? But you can get balancing poses in any poses that you're doing in standing. So here we come through again, we're in Tadasana Posture, standing up nice and tall, just kind of checking in, and check in with yourself. Inhaling and exhaling. So this next pose that we're going to move into is going to now stretch the quadricep group in a balancing pose. We can turn this a little bit more into a forward fold, so it will move towards a dancing preacher pose. And I just want you to go at your own pace here. Find your Tadasana footing. Eventually, you do want your gaze kind of forward and down without dropping your head. We're going to root down through that left leg. I'm going to find which left leg this time. We're going to bend the right knee. Now, here's that footing again. That foot that, you know, if we're really off balance, we had to take the toe to the floor a lot. Or we can lift the leg up. To get the quadricep stretch, we'll hold the foot, shin, or pant leg, and drop the knee, right? It's pointing towards the floor. You may find your balance here. Navel in, chest up, crown of the head. Maybe this is as far as you go. Or you could take your arm up, navel in, and any amount that you come forward, we're not going to let the chest lower. We're just going to go into a nice straight line of energy. Maybe even give your thumb and index finger a little touch here. And then come through and come back up. Inhaling and exhaling. You know, you can always have a chair on the hand here, or your hand, for a greater balance. Remember, be a beginner when you need to be a beginner. So let's come back through. We've got Tadasana once again. Standing up nice and tall. We can take some time to give yourself some movement. If you need more time to stop the video, because you're doing a lot of work on that standing leg also. Once you have Tadasana, again, eventually you'll be dropping your gaze down towards the floor. We're going to take on a Tadasana leg with that left leg. You're going to bend your right knee. So here's that balance again. Let me go ahead and drop my gaze down and really just feeling how my toes are touching the floor and maybe just lifting up and down. Got to be on the other foot. So I'm going to start back again. So we're going to take that rooting down through the right foot. We're going to bend the left knee. Hold the foot, shin, or pant leg. Stand up tall. The other arm can lift up. Maybe that's as far as you go. But if you want to go towards that dancing preacher, no, you come forward, right? Forward. Some of you will be parallel. Probably never will in my lifetime, but it's okay. Head down a little bit. Parallel. Inhaling. Exhaling as we come out of that pose. Foot down to the floor. Walk it out. Shrug those shoulders up, back, and down. Feel yourself re-rooting, taking that strengthening and releasing it out from the legs and hips. What we're going to do is we're going to turn back to the side. We're going to keep our feet slightly apart unless you like them together in Tadasana. I want you to begin, because we're going to go back to chair pose, lifting your toes, letting the knees bend, and you can look at your knee bend. And then you want a little hip flexion so the butt can move slightly back, navel in, chest up, and then take your tailbone forward so you feel more of a flatter back occurring. Toes can come down anytime. You're going to use your strength here to come a little bit lower, lifting the arms up to the ceiling if possible. So chair pose, Utkatasana. Head in alignment, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, I'm going to turn around and take the arms down. And then place them at the heart center, feeling that heart beating so strongly. Take your arms back down. So you should be nice and warm by this time. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn to either the upper end or whatever end of the mat that you want to be at. And you're going to have your feet again, either together, if that's how you practice, or slightly open. And we're going to move into Uttanasana pose, which is just standing forward fold. Inhale, taking those arms up. Exhale, take your forward fold over, straight legs or bent knee. And feel yourself hanging forward now. So bent knees can take the pull off the hamstring and lower back. So always make sure that you feel like your hamstrings are stretching the back of the upper legs and not up by your butt bones. So bent knees or straight legs are always appropriate as long as you feel like you're really getting a great stretch that doesn't strain. I want you to walk out into downward facing dog. So those heels are going to lift, the hands are way forward of the shoulders. The legs could be straight here. Navel in, lift your heels up so you can really lift. Inhaling, exhaling, take the heels down as any amount as you want to go. Keeping this strong pose strong. It is not a resting pose, right? It's a strengthening pose. It's a lengthening pose. It's a pose, if you practice enough here, you get comfortable with. But we don't want to get too comfortable because we want to keep this a nice lengthening and strengthening posture. Inhale. Come down to your knees to a tabletop pose and exhale. And then once you have your positioning in tabletop, you're going to inhale. And when you exhale, let your body round into a cat posture. Feel that nice stretch because we did so much here with more of a flat back. Now we're just arching it. We're going to inhale and return to tabletop, just a nice neutral spine. And then exhale, go back to a cat. And then inhale back to tabletop pose. So let's work on a little more balance here on the arms, on the hands and the knees. And opposite arm, opposite leg. Tuck navel in, shoulder blades ascend. You're looking down at the floor. We're going to take the right arm and left leg up. Opposite arm, opposite leg is a balancing pose. It's asymmetrical. You're going to be working all of those muscles in your back. Inhaling. Exhale back to tabletop. Realign, and then let's go left arm, right leg. something is behind me. But I want to keep stretching through, navel in, head neutral, looking down at the floor. Inhaling, exhaling back to tabletop pose. You're going to stretch yourself into child's pose. Fingers spread, maybe the arms are activated with the elbows lifted, and then you can descend the head any amount or all the way down to the mat. Inhale, return to this tabletop position. Exhale, downward facing dog. So fix that downward facing dog, get it balanced. Inhaling and exhaling, we're going to take the heels high, start to bend the knees and deeply tuck the navel in. Bend those knees, lift your butt up a little bit so now you're a K as in kite. Feel this flat back coming through. Inhale, straighten your legs. Exhale, tiny bend in your knees as you take your heels down, and then you can straighten your legs. Inhale, heels lift high. Exhale, knees come in towards your eyes. The butt lifts slightly. The back gets stretched. Inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, let the heels lower. And again, you can bend the knees when you lower. One more time. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, knees bend in towards the face and eyes with the butt coming up. Feel how you lengthen that back, more like a dog posture. With an inhale, we're going to straighten the legs. Doesn't have to be fully straight. Exhale back down with those heels. Start walking forward, coming into your Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Have your feet either together or slightly apart, and we're going to move right into chair pose, Utkatasana. Toes can start to lift, navel is in. You're going to lift those arms halfway up, taking those tailbone to your pubic bone. Remember, this isn't a squat. It could be a squat for some of you because we're going to take the tailbone, flatten the lower back out, and then take the arms up. And if we go any amount lower, we go straight down, not back. And we got to activate those inner thighs also. Navel pulls in, chest is wide open. Inhale back up, exhale, and just take your arms back down and to your heart center, just receiving all that beautiful energy and health and vitality. Take those arms back down and take another couple of steps. So let's go into one more balancing pose. And I'd like to go through our eagle pose today. And again, I love variations of all poses, especially for beginners. So it's not as complicated, right? And you can work on balance even if one of the feet are touching the floor. But I want you to start in Tadasana like always. So as we go into our Tadasana Pose or eagle pose, we're going to start, again, you may have to look at the video, but as you get to be a more advanced practitioner, you could, take your gaze down. Especially if there's somebody else in the room or something moving. Don't want to be gazing on that, so stand up tall, and you're going to keep your left leg in that Tadasana posture. Stand up tall, crown of the head lifting to the ceiling. That right foot's coming over. Here's that kickstand foot again, right? Because you want to go into balance and in breath. Now, if that foot wants to come up and hug your calf, it can, as long as you have your balance. And you can also bend the knee here of the standing leg and sit a little bit like a chair pose. Right? So you got the balance, even if your toes are on the floor, that's okay. Arms are coming up. You're going to begin to go into these eagle arms by taking your left hand or arm and crossing it over your right. Bend. You could be in a cross or a bind. This is a huge balancing pose, right? I can just feel my wobbles coming in here, the strength it takes to maintain this balance. Inhaling, exhaling, and let's come on out of this pose. Release it. Inhale, exhale. So again, if you start or stay with your foot or your toes on the floor, that's okay. Okay, maybe just work on the arms. Come back into Tadasana. Stand up nice and tall. Find find your gazing point. Inhaling and exhaling. We're going to now keep your right leg in Tadasana. We're going to take that left foot over in a kickstand, because that's maybe where you stay the whole time with a straight leg on the other side. You could hug your calf. You could always bend that knee. Sit down like you're sitting in chair pose. Arms can come up, and then your right arm will go on top of your left. Maybe it's just the crossing of the arms, forearms, or it's a bind. Inhaling, exhaling, feeling those wobbles, putting the foot to the floor if you need to. Come on out of your pose. Release, walk it up. Shrug those shoulders up and down, inhaling and exhaling. And what I want you to do is turn again. You can go to the opposite end of your mat if you'd like. Find Tadasana. You want your footing corrected each time. Get yourself into noticing your alignment. Inhale, arms are coming up. Exhale, forward fold over. Moving back into your downward facing dog. Inhaling here, heels can lift high. Exhale, bend the knees a little bit or a lot. Lift the butt so you feel your back stretching. Like a dog or cat would stretch in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Inhale, let the legs straighten any amount. Exhale, go back to down dog. The heels may be slightly lowered. We're just going to come back to tabletop. Making sure our knees are underneath the hips. The wrists could be underneath the shoulders, but you still want a nice long spine. I want you to curl your toes under right now. Give your toes a little stretch. Go to cat, exhaling. And then inhale back to tabletop pose. Exhale, go back to cat. Inhale back to tabletop. Let's do it one more time. Exhale, go back to cat. Inhale back to tabletop. Tops of the feet on the floor. Bring yourself back. Let the elbows come to the mat. Let your forehead touch the mat. And place your hands back towards your heels. Let your upper back round. And this is how we're going to finish today's postures in a child's pose. Taking several breaths. So you can come out anytime. You can do a little bit more practicing or more of the postures that you know how to do. Thank you everyone for coming today. Namaste.